Welcome, beautiful teachers, to this Vibrant Music Teacher Chat. I'm thrilled to be back with you again. If you're new to the show, a huge warm welcome to you. This is the place for the latest news about what's going on in the music teaching industry, upcoming ideas about what's coming out soon, a special deep dive topic that we go into each week, and today that's all about ear training and online lessons. We also do web reviews and an Ask Me Anything session at the end of the show. So if you have any thoughts about ear training, do add them into the chat or the comments, and I will help you out with anything I can help with to do with ear training. If you're new to the channel, I would love it if you subscribed, because we're edging up towards 6,000 and I'd just love to get us there. It's always fun to hit those targets, so do share the channel with your friends, encourage people to subscribe to it, because we have new stuff coming out for music teachers all the time. Excuse me. And if you're new to me, hi, my name is Nicola Canton. I am the blogger behind Colourful Keys and this YouTube channel right here, where I help music teachers, piano teachers, violin teachers, singing teachers with everything to do with their business and their teaching. And I also run a membership site called Vibrant Music Teaching, where we take all of that to the next level. So now let's get into the latest music teacher news. In my personal update, this week has been another turbo booster week for me. So if you haven't signed up, or if you haven't checked it out and seen if you might like to sign up, it's at teacherturboboost.com, teacherturboboost.com, and that's where you'll find all the details. But for me, it's been a week of actually starting to put together my own presentations and setting up the slides and stuff for that, which is always... It's a lot of work, but it's also really fun, and it's something that I find creative and interesting to do and to make fresh every time. I don't want it to be just... I've never done a slide presentation where it's just a series of bullet points. It's not really my style, but I like to do something fresh and new each time. Keep people awake, keep it fun and interesting for everyone who's watching. So I've been putting those together, also getting some of the final sessions in from the guests and watching those through and putting together the workbook. There's going to be a full workbook to go along with the 5-day retreat. It's 5 days from March 29th to April 2nd. And it's going to be 3 hours every day, and every day has workbook pages, so you print out your workbook, or you can use it on iPad. I'll make it fillable if you prefer that method, if you prefer to be paperless. And yeah, it's going to be fun to have that step by step, and it's also going to make it all more actionable. That's what we're all about. That's why we're doing the live daily huddles within that retreat as well. So we'll be getting together on Zoom every day, and that's all in the workbook too. So it's one big important book with everything from all the sessions. So lots of members already signed up for that as well, and if you are a member of Vibrant Music Teaching, please know that you get an extra discount. So just pop over to the forums to grab the code for that. Don't sign up at the full rate. You get the extra discount off an already pretty great price for 5 days, right? But it gets even better when you're a member. So yeah, I've been putting together my own turbo boost sessions, just started on them. I didn't finish all of those in 1 week with everything else going on. And I've also been doing lots of writing. It's been a big writing week in general, bits and pieces, and also blog posts and podcast recording to get more things in the pipeline for both of those. Now, in terms of what's come out, we had a new video here on YouTube, which was about managing your studio admin work, your office work, which was an edited version of an earlier Vibrant Music Teacher chat. So if you need a refresher on that, or you didn't catch the original live show, that's a great place to go. Ellen, yes, there will be a replay you'll have 1 year's access to the replay of the sessions for the Turbo Boost, but I cannot replay or provide recordings in any way for the Zoom sessions each day. That's because we're going to be splitting up into breakout rooms. So it'll be like 4 or 5 attendees in each breakout room. So recording that would obviously be creepy and weird, and we're not going to do that. So that's the only bit you won't get if you sign up and you can't attend live. You will get the replays of the main sessions. Hope that makes sense. Oh yeah, Carrie, we use that in our reading Railroad. If you check out the Google Slides versions of those, you'll see it in action for the backing tracks for those new reading resources. In other stuff we released, we had a new podcast episode, which was about a 3-minute ear training exercise. So if after today you still want lots more ear training stuff, or you want an alternative, then that's a good one to check out. And we had a guest article over the weekend as well, which was from Sharon Mark Teggers, who's from the Curious Piano Teachers. She's actually up the road from me in Northern Ireland, and she wrote a great blog post for us about rhythm in online lessons. So great compliment to this one. She has some really great ideas, really interesting stuff there, so definitely check that out. That's on the Colourful Keys blog. Outside of Colourful Keys land, though, I found lots of gems this week. I feel like it was just a really great week for blogs and podcasts for music teachers. So, Jana Carlson of Studio Rocket Web Design, she released a new post called 3 Parent Repelling Mistakes on Your Website. So 3 things that you might be doing that are driving parents away. If you're looking for new students right now and your website is an important part of that, definitely take a read through Jana's comments. She knows what she's doing because she helps studio owners with their websites all the time. So that's a great one to look at. We had a wonderful Friday finds from Amy Chaplin. So Amy runs pianopantry.com, piano pantry because she likes music and food, and pianopantry.com, and every Friday she does a Friday finds where she basically almost does what I'm doing the news segment here, but a bit different because she gathers different ideas from around the webs. And this week she did a special one about conferences. So if you're thinking about attending the Turbo Boost or anything else that's going on, as she mentioned, there's the MTNA and other things that are coming up. So she did a roundup about good conferences that are coming up, but also tips on how to maximize your experience at online events, right? Because it's quite a different thing. So that's an awesome one to look at. And then finally, I wanted to mention the wonderful episode of Key Ideas. Who listens to Key Ideas here? Who's a fan? That is Leela Viss, her new podcast. I mean, it's still pretty new. It was released, I think the 4th quarter of last year, maybe 3rd quarter. Anyway, she released it last year, and this episode was with Christina Whitlock. So here's the thing. We have Christina Whitlock and Leela Viss, who are both going to be presenters for the Teacher Turbo Boost, and they're both just some of my favourite people to listen to. Christina is newer to me. She has her own podcast, and that's how I found her, Beyond Measure. And Leela I've known for quite a while. And the two of them together talking about adults and talking about the joys of teaching adults. I think if you like what I do, if you like Colourful Keys stuff or this show and our positive vibes, you'd really enjoy that conversation, because it's not, oh, how can we convince adults to be better? It's what's great about them and how can we celebrate that and enjoy that and have a really wonderful relationship with them and make them a valuable part of our studio. So it's great. And yeah, you should take a listen to it. So that's on the Key Ideas podcast, Leela's podcast, the two of them together. All right. So those are the latest pieces of news. Now let's get into some sneak peeks at what is coming up soon. Next week here on the YouTube show, we're going to be chatting about teaching students to play by ear, teaching them to play by ear. Different from teaching them by rote, right? We're talking about specifically students working stuff out by ear. And this, when I did the vote on the channel of what content you guys wanted to see on the show, this was the top one, right? And it's something you guys often ask about. And we did a big project here in my studio, November, December of last year, all about playing songs by ear, and we created mashups of those. And there's a blog post coming out about that soon. But next week on the show right here, we're going to be talking about that too. So about playing by ear, and I hope you'll look forward to that one. And then coming out soon, I haven't got an official date for you, but we're getting really close to releasing what we're calling the student sleuth. So I'm going to show you quickly. Oh yeah, there. So I'm going to show you what that's going to look like. I've hinted at it a few times, and I think you guys are going to love it. So this is what the student sleuth looks like right here. This is a new feature we're adding to Vibrant Music Teaching, and basically it starts with this very simple form. So I'm going to make something up right now. No, I won't. I'll use the same one that I used as an example for the result. This is my student Ethan. He's 9 and he's been studying for 1 year, right? So you select this, you write the student's name. That's just so that it appears at the top of form for you later, so that you can save it and know who it was about. And student age, and then how long they've been studying, and you go submit. And then it takes you to this quiz. So the quiz is based on the student's age and how long they've been studying. And we put the date up the top here for later if you want to print or save it. And so this student is 9 and studying 1 year, and that gives you this specific quiz with questions to help you assess how they're doing. And so the first question, can the student echo patterns from rhythm vocab level 1? Or if you're not using rhythm vocab, you can look at it. We've linked to it so that you can check it out and assess whether they would be able to. And let's say it's very accurately, etc., etc. Lots of questions about different areas of the student's studies. And then at the end of this quiz, here's what you get to. You get to a result. Those of you who've used our teacher tracker, you'll be familiar with this sort of format, but this is for students and it's not going to appear on your dashboard. It's not for your to-do list. It's for you to decide how this student is doing, and really to give you a confidence boost in a lot of cases, that you can say, no, I am on track. No, they are doing well. It's just this one area that they're struggling with. So you get this result, and then you can print or save these results. So you can save a PDF if you want to have these over time for your students, or you can print it out if you want a printed copy. So I just want to give you that little taste. It's not live yet for members, however it will be coming very, very soon, and I'm looking forward to getting it into your hands. Do let me know if you're a member. Let me know in the chat if you're excited about that feature. I think it's going to be a game changer in terms of, yes, student progress and assessment, but also your confidence in the situation, your ability to step back and look at them as a big picture view, right? Look at this student and say, how are they really doing? I've been obsessing over them not understanding seconds and thirds, but how are they in general? And actually everything else is going great, so they're really fine. And also to reduce that imposter syndrome so that you're not constantly comparing yourself to other teachers. Such a rampant problem because we're all in our own little bubbles, right? And we don't know whether we're doing it right. It's really hard to know. And there is no one right way, but this is our way of saying, if you're doing roughly these things, when your student is at this stage, you're probably doing pretty well. It's like my way of reaching through and giving you a pat on the back in a lot of cases. But yeah, I think it's going to be really valuable for that, and also a great resource to give to parents, or, you know, anything else you want to do with it. Save it for your own records for later to see how they're progressing over time. You could do it at year increments or something like that for each student. Laurie, so glad you like it. Oh, lots of lovely comment. Ellen, that's an interesting idea. I don't think it will work in the same way that it does with the teacher version, because in the teacher version you set your learning list based on the areas that you feel you're weak at teaching, right? And that's how the teacher tracker works. If we did that with the student, it would end up being too prescriptive, and that's what I don't want to do, because then I'm saying, no, they must have learned this or that. But what you are able to easily do is look at this list and say, okay, it's really all about practice. Go to our training library, filter by practice topic, and then study up on it there. Does that make sense? Yeah. So glad you guys are excited about this. Lots of lovely comments coming in. And look forward to the release very, very soon. We're just doing some final testing on that. Right, so let's get into our main topic of today. Ear training is one of the things in my online lessons that right away I thought, this is going to be my focus. So back in March of 2020, we went online and I had to scrap a lot of what I was doing. I had to say, oh, this project isn't going to really work, I'm going to delay that. Or this student is struggling with reading and I'm going to need to come up with some new strategies before I can really address that in online learning. But I can do tons of ear training and I never get enough time to do it, so let's do it. And I'm not sure if everyone felt like that. So if you were one of the teachers who said, oh my gosh, ear training is going to be impossible, I usually do tons of it, and now I'm finding it so hard in online lessons, then this is going to be helpful for you. On the other hand, if you're someone who just doesn't get to do ear training often enough at all, this is going to be helpful for you too. I'm going to share with you a whole bunch of different ear training games. So this is your warning right up front. I'm sharing with you all these ideas. Your job is to pick one. Our mantra here is J. Just do one thing. Just do one thing. I'm here to give you lots of ideas so that you can find one idea that works for you. Deal? You're not going to get overwhelmed by all of this? Okay, deal. I've decided it's a deal. Okay, my first game with that in mind is very simple. It is do, re, mi. I should have put 3 question marks. This is where you simply play a pattern of do, re, mi, and then one more note, and you ask your student which one it was that you played last. And I like to do it that they give me an action as the answer. So I would normally do, if I don't need the student to move too much, I would do do, re, and mi. But if it's a student with the wiggles, it would be do on the floor. Mi, maybe on the re, maybe on the shoulders again, and then re up in the sky. I said that backwards as well. Me up in the sky. Okay, so here's what we're going to do today. We are going to do some of this. I want you to participate with me at home. It's the honor code. I can't make you do it. It's not Zoom. I can't see if you're doing it, but I want you to try, okay? So I'm going to play do, re, mi, and then I'll play do, re, or mi. If the last one I play is do, I want you to touch the floor. Or your knees will do. If the last one I play is re, I want you to touch your shoulders. And if the last one I play is mi, I want you to put your hands in the air. Okay, you ready? I am not going to switch to my keyboard view. So I have an overhead camera, obviously, for my keyboard for my online lessons. It's extremely useful almost all of the time. But when I do ear training games like this, I leave it right here. This is what it looks like in my lessons, and I'm going to do that to you too, so you really have to use your ears. If, however, you're playing this with a newbie student, showing them might be a good idea so that they can use both for a little while, and then once they're used to it, they can try to do it with just their ears. Okay? Right. So, I'm walking over to my keyboard, and I'm going to play do, re, mi. You ready? Which one was it? Did you get it? it was do. I hope you were touching the floor. Let's try one more. I'm going to assume you got that too. And again, if the student is doing really well, I would go higher or lower in general, and I'm changing key signatures all the time here. And then maybe lower. So whenever they're doing well, I'm going to go higher, lower, outside of the middle of the piano, and faster. Whenever they're doing not so well, I would slow it down and stick around the middle range of the piano. That tends to be the easiest to hear, especially in an online lesson environment, especially if they have poor quality computer speakers. Right? Hope that makes sense. So that's do, re, mi. It's the simplest thing in the world. And obviously the next step is you can add another note. So I would add so next, and then la, and I would build up the pentatonic scale. And then, if they're getting really good, I would fill in fa and ti as well and make a full major scale, or even then mix it up and play it as a minor, natural minor, etc., etc. You can go from there. But that basic exercise is wonderful. If you have multiple students together, you can also get one of them to play and the other one to answer. So take yourself out of the equation and then they swap. It's just such a simple thing to do, but it works great in online lessons and it gets them up and moving, and it can be done in just a couple of minutes. Doesn't have to be a long session, just a few of those, wake up their ears, move on. No problem. Yes, Ellen, that is definitely another option. The reason for my simplified signs is partially to get them moving more, and partially because I want, although the Kerwin hand signs are obviously logical, and if the student is learning them anyway, we would do them. But in this context, I like just a bigger motor skill. So that's why I'm going with that. Also, the option of being floor and then standing and then reaching up to the sky as a great way to get them moving as well. Okay, and then my next idea. Are you ready? It's the simplest one. Echoes. But you probably don't do it enough, do you? Do you do enough echoing of patterns in your online lessons, in your lessons in general? Just saying to your student, okay, I'm going to be on the 3 black keys and you be on the 3 black keys. I want you to play back what I play. And then do the opposite. That's really important because the student gets the chance then to create. They also love testing you and seeing if they can trip you up, some of them, which is great fun. And I don't mind my ears being tested. Yes, sometimes I do fall on my face. If they go for ages and I can't remember their pattern, we both have a giggle about it, and that is absolutely fine. Swapping back and forth doing echoes is a great exercise for them in creating the melody as well as playing it back to you. So I don't think I'll demo that one because I'm not going to assume that you're all at a piano right now. Although I could get you to sing it back, but we'll skip that one. I think that's self-explanatory, but I wanted to bring it in here because I think we don't do it enough. Carrie, that's hilarious. Because it's funny. Wouldn't you have done that to your teacher? It's great fun. And I'm happy to play along and have it be impossible and play the game with them. It's good crack. Okay, the next one is a variation on echoes, and that is Q&A. You might not think of this as strictly ear training, but here's how it works. It's like the echo except that you're going to answer the question. I will demo this one again. Hopefully that'll be useful for you guys. So I'm going to play a pattern that is not going to end on do. Again, we'll stick to just do, re, mi, because that's what I would have kids start with. So we're going to both be on the 3 black keys. I'm going to play a pattern, and I'm not going to end on do. So here's what one sound like. Would sound like. I'd play something like that, right? And again, I wouldn't show them the overhead view, so I'm not doing that for you now. And then I would tell them, okay, you play a pattern, the answer to my question, which has to end on do. And if they've been doing this for a little while, they might do something like, or they might play, and that's fine too. They'll get it in time. And then they play a question, something that doesn't end on do, and I play the answer, something that does end on do. And we keep going back and forth like that. They shouldn't always be the answer because they need to hear how you imitate some of what they did, right? You build in some of the rhythm, you use the same meter, that kind of thing. So that, so that they build up that sense of how it sounds like it matches the two little phrases. Melinda, I do that as well, yes, for sure. For the echoing. Q&A is obviously a little bit harder. When I'm doing, though, the singing and echoing back, I would tend to use the hand signs there. So I would sing do, re, mi, mi, and they need to sing it back. What I also like to do, though, even in online lessons, is have them sing along with me. So I'd get them to mute themselves, and I would just sing and use hand signs, and they need to sing along with me and use the hand signs. Yes, they can pretend, but they'll still learn a lot, and if you have a student that's a little bit embarrassed of the situation, that might be a good option. They might end up accidentally singing along, and even if they don't do that in spite of themselves, they'll learn a lot by listening to you and doing the hand signs and feeling it and mouthing it, because they'll have to pretend for you. So that's a good option for that as well, both of those. The next one is called Sing and Search. I put this in here to help those of you with students who are really struggling with pitch. Really struggling with pitch. So I'm sure many of you have had this student, you can let me know if you have, where they just can't seem to match pitch. They sing in a drone voice, or they use a speaking voice accidentally instead of a singing voice. They can't really differentiate, and they're doing this until they're through several years of lessons, even until they're, say, 9 or 10 years old or in their teens, and they really can't match the pitch. So this is a simple exercise to help with that, with the caveat that if your student is younger than, say, 9 or 10, or they only just started lessons, please don't fuss too much over them not matching pitch. Don't feel like you need to do rudimentary exercises or intervention sort of exercises, because they will get it with time with these types of exercises, right? So even if they are singing along and it's not right, then it won't, just give them time. But for students that are really struggling, or just as an additional exercise to help them along, sing and search is a great way to work on pitch. So again, I wouldn't be showing them the keyboard, so I'm not going to show you. What I would do is just play a note. So I play, sorry, it's awkward at this angle. So play it a few times, and you guys are going to play along. Sing back that note. Sorry, I won't be that silly. I'm not a children's entertainer. So you sing back that note, and then they need to hold on to that and try and find it on the piano. Yes, if they've no singing voice at all, this won't always work. You could do it with you playing and them searching for it instead. But if they have a bit of it, but it's just a bit looser than you would like on their sense of pitch, this is a great exercise to do. So you need to keep singing that note. Hopefully you guys are still singing it, and maybe if you do have a piano nearby, or you have absolute pitch, you can tell me what it was. Anyone put their guess into the comments. So that's a simple one for pitch recognition. The next one is called meter moves. This is where I prescribe different activities for different meters. So a great put together version of this is called Time to Jive, but you can do this on your own, loosely based on just these instructions, okay? Tara was the first to get it. It was indeed an A. Well done, Tara. Okay, so this is where you give them different dance moves. Okay, so for those of you who don't know this already, I did a fair amount of dancing growing up, especially Irish dancing. And so identifying meter when I had to do that test in exams and stuff, it was never really a problem because I just imagined myself dancing a particular dance. And when I realised that was how I was doing it, and that most kids didn't have that reference point and really struggled with this in that exam scenario, or just in general they weren't good at feeling that those different meters, then I started to teach them. Okay, I'll just teach them basic dances. So if you're up for it, get up and dance with me. Here's what we need to do. If it's 2/4, you're going to step side to side to side to side. Just step. If it's 3, you're going to do 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Basic waltz, right? 1, 2, 3. And if it's 4/4, I have them do a box. So 1, 2, right? You get the idea. You don't even have to make it that complicated. I've also done it in a different way in the Time to Jive game. There's all sorts of ways to do it. The important part is just to assign an action. And again, it could be something you can see more clearly if you want to leave them sitting down. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Like that. And then put on different examples of music and have them do the marching dance to see if it fits. The matching dance to see if it fits. And that's how they can figure out which time signature it is. If you restrict it, right, make it easier to guess, and then you can gradually increase it from there. We've 2 left, I think. Yes, 2 left. The next one is Tonic Stance. What a weird title. Tonic Stance. That just came into my head. I was thinking tonic. Anyway, it's tonic versus dominant. And what you do, again, actions. I love actions for these because when you're just using your ears, when you don't have to play, it's just such a great opportunity to get up off the seat. And if you have noticed yourself getting more stiff, maybe your back hurting, maybe you're more fatigued, maybe various other symptoms from doing online lessons yourself. I know many teachers have, and it's normally because we're just not moving. In fact, when I was teaching in the studio in autumn, that was worse actually because I couldn't stand. So I stand now for online lessons, but in the studio I had to stay glued to my chair, and I really noticed a difference. And if we feel like that, then a little 5-year-old, a little 13-year-old is going to feel that worse, and they're often going to be reluctant to say anything to you. I mean, I do tell them, get up and stretch whenever you want, like just tell me, oh, I need to stretch for a second, that's fine, but giving them more and more chances to get up and down that are built into the lesson is great. So, with that in mind, tonic stance is about tonic versus dominant. Tonic versus dominant. And you're going to just pick 2 actions. So I like them to be something related to resting and like ready to pounce. That's what we'll call the dominant. So let's have like a tiger stance. I'll change this every time, honestly, based on the student and their interest. But let's say it's a tiger stance. They hear the dominant chord, and then they need to sit back on the piano bench if it's a tonic. And the rest of the time, they're going to march around. And for this, I'll play something, just a simple vamp. So, right? And then I land on one or the other. So, again, if you're up for it, I'm actually not going to show the keyboard on this either, because I usually wouldn't for this kind of thing. I sometimes would, but not always, and I don't want to mess with all this lovely writing and everything. So, I'll leave it on this view, and you won't see me for a second. I want you to move around the room, and you'll either do your tiger pose, or you'll sit back down. Okay? So, here is how it might sound. Something very simple. I want it to be easier for them to march along to too. Right, so I would just do a... right, again and again and again. Or I might do a... tiger? I hope so. And then start again. Right, so it's about feeling that difference. Now you can do this with absolutely anything this versus that. I think you can see through the sample. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, and again, it can be 1 minute. If you hear the tiger sound, if you hear the sitting sound, you don't even have to call them tonic and dominant, although it's a good time to just sort of not make your students say those words, but just build in that vocabulary, right? Start to build it in naturally to what you're saying so that they pick it up little by little, or at least sounds familiar when they need to learn it later. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if you're following that okay. Last one is rote repertoire. What am I talking about? Well, this has actually been a big part of what we've been doing with ear training here in the studio, and that is rote repertoire by Samantha Coates is what I'm referring to here. So if you're not familiar with Samantha, she runs Blitz Books. Those are her books, theory resources, and she has a blog as well. And she creates rote repertoire, which are rote pieces, but they come in 3 levels. So there's a level 1, level 2, level 3, and they're really great for that. And the idea behind them is that you can teach the student level 1 by rote, and then you can put up level 1 and 2 and say, spot the difference. What's the difference between these? And they start to make those connections between what they're listening to and the differences and the notation. So it's like taking a broad brush idea of the notation rather than here's all the details and now you decode it. It's backwards in a way, and it helps students with their reading as well as playing these great pieces by rote. But I've been twisting this, and there's a YouTube video, short YouTube video here on the channel about how I've been doing this, so you can check that out. Just look for rote repertoire Nicola Canton or something like that, or rote repertoire colourful keys, and it should pop up. But to tell you briefly, the way we were doing it is I teach them the first level by rote, and then I play them the audio for the next level. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to breach any copyright, but to the students I play them the audio for the next level, and I ask them to spot the difference with their ears now, instead of showing them the sheet music. And it's just as valuable that way around. It's really wonderful. And it's been a great thing for my students to wake up their ears and to start to notice the changes in the pattern. And yeah, to start to have fun with it. Wanted to come back to that question, Charlotte, because I know I was a bit confusing there. Time to Jive is a game that is coming out on the 1st of April. So it's one I've been testing. It will come out soon in the library, but it's not out yet. It's on the 1st of April is when that's hitting the library. Yeah, so that's Samantha Coates' rote repertoire, and that's how we've been using it. So you've got 7 ideas there. Which one are you going to do? Pick one and do it this week. Commit to it right here. It'll make you that much more likely to follow through. Okay, we're going to dive into the web reviews while you start to come in with your commitments to your ear training games for this week. Let's just pull up our sites for today. Here we go. Our first website review is of Mindy Rawlins Piano School, and before we dive into her site, we're going to just review what it is we're looking for. So we're looking for the fact that it has enough text, it has a clear call to action, it has consistent branding, just a couple of colors, a couple of fonts, it showcases Mindy, it has real photos, and it has a simple menu structure. Let's see how many of those boxes we can tick and how we can help Mindy to improve her website. So we have a lot of boxes ticked right away, we can see. we have photos of Mindy's studio right here. You can tell they're real photos, right? You see the difference with that. And yeah, they're decent, good quality photos, but they're not like super amazing photos. It's not like crazy fancy camera. I mean, it might be, but they're just genuine photos of her studio and happy kids, and that's great. We have a big button to get started, which is a great call to action. We have plenty of text here on the homepage to tell us about the lessons. The one thing I don't have, Mindy, is, or I don't love, is this. Mindy Rowland Piano School. Because that's not the most important thing on this page. So I think you could mess with that headline a bit more. I think you could say, the best group school, or maybe that's not your point of difference, but you see what I'm saying. The best gamified piano lessons in wherever you are, or Northeast Austin. There you go. Or something like that, because we have Mindy Rowland Piano School, and honestly, we don't care. Like, your name isn't a factor in our decision making here. It's a lovely name, but it's not relevant. Do you see what I mean? Okay, and then we've got a great testimonial here. That's awesome. Join a class today. What a cutie! Look at her. Group classes for kids, group piano for adults. Oh, that looks great. Love that you got a photo of your adults. Adults can be so reluctant to do that, but that's great to have. And then lovely info about you there, Mindy. I'm just going to see if these are jump links or different pages. No, they're actually different pages. Okay. Nice simple menu structure. Classes, contact, tuition, t-shirts, student login. That'll be my music staff, I'd say. And then a shopping cart. That's probably for your t-shirts. Oh, yeah, of course it's empty. Sorry, that's me being silly. That's not your website's fault. But if I return to shop, yeah, t-shirts, okay. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I'm curious how big a part of your business that is, but definitely not a problem to have it there. It's not going to make anyone pause. Okay, tuition I feel could be a bit of a bigger page, maybe just some nice photos or something to make it more substantial, even though it is just information, and contact and all about the classes. Honestly, this is everything you need. You're doing so well here. If I was to level it up a bit further, I would reconsider that title. I would have more testimonials if you can get them, and I would put them here, or one here, and then one further down. So I'd increase the testimonials if you can. Lots of information about group, that's great. And some more testimonials here, yeah. If you could just intersperse those a bit more and get some photos of them, that's great. One tip I just learned yesterday, which I hadn't thought about before, but is definitely a valid point. If you can get just a general image of that student or that parent, great. What would be even better if you're asking them for these students anyway, for these photos anyway, is to have a photo of them at the piano. So photos of the people make testimonials more powerful. I've said that many times. But photos of people doing the thing that you're promising are even more valuable. So if you can get, say you have this mum replied about it, whatever, so you put a photo of her actually enjoying the piano or playing at a recital or something, I think that's even better for your testimonials. Overall, great job, Mindy. I just think it's a really strong site, really consistent branding, and great photos everywhere. And it just shows it's not complicated, right? It's not a bunch of different pages, it's not a whole lot of information, but it's effective. So well done. Our next one is Last Frontier Piano Studio. What an intriguing name. Okay, so lessons in the comfort of your home is your promise here, and you've got a big photo here. Okay, I feel like we could have a bit more text up the top here, and maybe a bit more of a personal photo rather than just hands on a keyboard. Because that, as a first impression, I have one point of difference right here, which is good. But other than that, I'm not really seeing what's all that different about you versus anyone else. Like, it doesn't hit me in the face that you're going to be fun or tech savvy or whatever you're going to be. So maybe think about that. Okay, this wording is maybe, I don't know if I want to say old-fashioned, but it's just maybe not web-centered. Last Frontier Piano Studio offers lessons and classes to all ages. It's because it's, is it passive voice? Anyway, whatever. It's impersonal. What I would love to see is, our studio is the best thing for your child if you want to blah-de-blah-de-blah. Talk directly to the person, not generally about your studio. And again, that's about you. It should really be about them, talking to them. Why does this matter to them? Zoom consultations, Thumbtack. Is Thumbtack not more of a driver? I mean, I'm probably not the right person to ask about this, but or to comment about this, but if Thumbtack is mainly a driver of new business for you, don't put it in your menu. Do you want people who are already on your website to go to Thumbtack? Maybe you do, but just something to consider. And testimonials, again, on a separate page. I prefer these scattered throughout the website more than on a separate page. Yeah, those would be my main things here. So it's the images at the top, like I know that stock photo. So if you can get some more personal photos and a bit more about what makes you different in a way that speaks directly to that parent who might join your studio. But great job on putting this together. It looks nice and well set up. Simple enough menu, lots of things going right here. So hopefully that will help you to hone it in more and make it even better. Alright, gonna check in with the questions right here. Lots of chat today. Great to see that. Laurie asked, next weekend, most of the US will be springing forward 1 hour. Will this affect our time with you? Do you change also? Good question, Laurie. Here's the awkward thing about the world. We do change. We change at a slightly different time to you. So that's very good to point out. If you spring forward, it's going to be later for you. I don't think we're springing forward yet. The best thing to do, though, is not to rely on my time zone conversion skills, because they are notoriously terrible. It is to check the YouTube channel. So we will schedule the video ahead of time, then you'll see it in your time zone, and hopefully that'll be easy to follow and clear enough. Anna, that's awesome! I hope it goes well for you. We have been having so much fun with that strategy. And Deanna, you're ahead of us. You already did the Do-Re-Mi game last week. That's awesome. Keep it up. Nice. Yes, absolutely, Elizabeth. They're all meant to be adaptable. If I'm doing a particular ear training game, like one on this list or any other, or a rhythm warm-up or something, I'm doing it with pretty much every single student during that week and just adapting the level. I love things like that, especially for the online environment where there's a lot of stuff to organize, right, and set up. I don't want you guys spending ages figuring out different games for all these different people. Awesome. I didn't see any question tags, I don't think, today, so I'm just double checking. I should have hold music here, shouldn't I? No, I shouldn't. That would be terrible. Why would I do that to all of you? Put on for release, will I? Or that one. Has anyone heard that one that's on everything? Anyway, forget about it. Okay, thank you all so much for joining me. It has been a pleasure, as always. And I hope it was useful for you and inspires you to do some more ear training this week. We'll be back at the same time in my time zone next week. So I will see you all then. Bye for now.